Coming your way on today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we're going to talk about Will Anderson, the stud edge rusher out of Alabama, and how he's a dream target for the Eagles. Could he fall to the birds at number 10, or could Howie Roseman get aggressive in trying to trade up for him, considering he's one of the best players in this draft class? We also have an exclusive interview with Will Anderson from the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, as our team is working hard there. And we're going to take a look at some players who Mel Kiper has going to the Eagles in his latest 2023 NFL Mock Draft to fill up some needs on this Eagles roster. Let's start with the aforementioned Will Anderson here. When you talk about dream draft targets for this football team, scheme fit, athletic fit, and him overall just being a stud, Will Anderson is that guy. I can make the argument he should be taken number 1 in this draft class. Is there any chance that he could fall to the Eagles at number 10, or could Howie Roseman try to scheme something up to try to trade up if he does fall out of that number 1 position to try to take him to have him on the opposite side of Hassan Reddick, who we talked about in that interview? First, though, I want to hear from you down in the comment section. I know we have a lot of NFL draft gurus here who watch the show. So who is your favorite prospect in this 2023 NFL draft? Is it Anderson or somebody else? Drop me a name down below. Nuggets from Anderson in that interview that we're going to show you later on today's show. He likes how the Eagles use their edge rushers, both Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, and he wouldn't mind being used like Hassan Reddick, who's kind of that hybrid who plays a lot like Will Anderson. Now, Hassan Reddick is about 235 pounds. Will Anderson checked in at the Scouting Combine. He was north of 250 pounds, but he's a stand-up edge rusher who can also drop back in coverage, and make sure you stay tuned for that exclusive interview with Anderson, because he had some interesting things to say about how he wants to be utilized and what he learned at the football powerhouse that is Alabama. And speaking of his time at Alabama, 39 games played. He became a sensation after his freshman year when he was just going off. And then in his sophomore campaign and junior seasons, he still was able to maintain that and play really good football. A historic career for him. 204 tackles in 39 games played, 59 tackles for loss. The most notable number here in 39 career games, 34 and a half sacks. That is unbelievable production. As a freshman, Will Anderson had 60 quarterback pressures. As a sophomore, he had 82. As a junior, he had 64. That is 206 total quarterback pressures over 3 years. And during that time frame, that is 55 more than any other player in college football. I've watched a lot of tape of Will Anderson. We've seen live game action of him, and he always pops off the screen. At Alabama, he was listed at 6'4", 243. He weighed in at the Scouting Combine at more than 250 pounds. Some of that could be water weight to impress a lot of these teams, but his playing weight, probably as a rookie, going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 240 to 250 pounds. Like Hassan Reddick, an elite first step to catch opposing offensive linemen off guard. That's what Reddick was able to do so well, and that's why he had 19 and a half sacks all throughout the regular season combined with the playoffs. The athletic flexibility off the edge, it's uncanny. He has this bend where he can dip under offensive tackles, which allows him to get to the quarterback with that really good burst and athleticism. He averaged 734 snaps per year, so he's consistently been durable without many injury concerns. As for what he needs to work on, more pass rush moves. I think that coming out of Temple, that's something that Hassan Reddick needed to improve upon. He was able to do that. The only player in NFL history was Reddick to have 3 consecutive seasons with at least 10 sacks on 3 different teams. None better than in 2022 when he had a career season. Anderson, a lot like Hassan Reddick for the reasons that I talked about. He has bend. He has burst. He is no doubt a 3-down edge, but he even mentioned it himself. He's comfortable with dropping back in coverage because that's what Nick Saban asked him to do a lot in that Alabama defense. As for what we're getting into next, that interview with Will Anderson, and who do the Eagles pick in Mel Kiper's latest 2023 NFL Mock Draft some interesting scouting profiles on those players. First, though, a wonderful deal that we want to tell you about here on Eagles Now, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. And please make sure you use that link down below so that they know that Eagles Now sent you. These conference championship t-shirts were $35 when they first came out. They are 50% off right now for only $17. I know we wish that they were Super Bowl championship shirts, but winning the NFC is certainly a big deal, and they're going to hang a banner at Lincoln Financial Field. You can rock that banner on your chest, chatsports.com/EaglesNFC. Now let's get to our interview with Will Anderson. He talked about how he likes how the Eagles use their edge rushers in the scheme that they run, and I think that scheme from Jonathan Gannon to Sean Desai isn't going to change all that much, and he alluded to being used like Hassan Reddick at the next level. Can you imagine what it would be like to have Reddick on one side and Will Anderson on the other? My goodness, quarterbacks, they'd be scared.
You can see what the coach did at Philadelphia. He had his guys on the edge going. That's something that, I really like. Get on the edge and go. So I'm very excited about that. All these guys are great, very athletic, can pass rush. I'm super excited. All the work has been good, but I feel like what I bring to the table is just consistency, being humble. Whatever culture I'm in, I'm going to do things the right way, and I think that's what sets me apart. Yeah, it means a lot. That just shows all your hard work has been paying off. All the sacrifices, blood, sweat, and tears you've been doing to get up into this moment. It's super exciting. It's a blessing. Yeah, for me, I like the forklift move. I like to watch Nick Bosa a lot. I like the way he do his bull swipe and stuff like that, so I try to implement that in my game. I feel like football is all about embracing the change. So, no matter, what type of defense I get in, I'm going to adapt to it, and I'm going to be able to embrace the change and embrace the challenge that's there and, learn the lessons that come with it. And that's what I'm very excited about, just whatever defense I get in, learning how to operate throughout it and having fun doing it. It's about what you have in here, and that's what's carried me to this point in my life. Always knowing that whatever I got going on, my mentality, my mindset is not going to change, and that's what I approach during a week of practice, and that's what I approach in the game. So being at Alabama made me very versatile, dropping in coverage, playing a 4-5 technique, 6 technique, 7, all that type of stuff, helping me, learn pass rush moves, run. So when I dissect myself, I see myself as a very versatile player that can do just about anything, but that's thanks to Coach Saban. He trusted me a lot. He's seen a lot in me. He's seen the potential, and it helped me mold the player I am today. So when I look back at myself, I just feel like Alabama made me a very versatile player. Yeah, just working in space, working on my flexibility and mobility. This whole training season, whole off season right now I've been doing, that's really one of the biggest things that I've been working on is my mobility and flexibility.
Appreciate our hardworking crew in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine, having wonderful opportunities to bring you content like that from Will Anderson. And let's stick with the draft here on today's show. Mel Kiper, ESPN's draft expert, he's pitting two interesting players to the Eagles at 10 as well as at number 30. At that number 10 pick, it's a potential future Lane Johnson replacement in Peter Skoronski, the tackle out of Northwestern. This dude is really, really good, and Mel Kiper Jr. said he's the best tackle in this draft class. Quote, let's keep a strength for the Eagles. With right guard Isaac Seumalo a free agent and center Jason Kelce mulling retirement, why not take the best lineman in this class? Cam Jurgens, a second-round pick last year, likely would slot in Kelce's place, while Skoronski could fill the void at right guard. Some teams believe Skoronski would be a better fit at guard than tackle, even though he started 33 games at left tackle in college. No matter where he plays, he should be an instant player. Now, to start, I alluded to him maybe being a future Lane Johnson replacement. Skoronski does have the ability to play left tackle. He has the ability to play right tackle. Why it would make sense for Philadelphia to draft him right now? Yes, he has 33 games of starting experience as a left tackle in college football. That doesn't mean that at some point down the road, he can't pivot back out to tackle either for Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson. In the meantime, look, if Jason Kelce does retire, you got Cam Jurgens last year in the second round out of Nebraska. If Isaac Seumalo can get $8 to $10 million in free agency, you replace him with a player, fraction of the price, and Peter Skoronski, he could play right guard. Then at some point down the road, he can shift back out to tackle, the more valuable spot along that offensive line. But you're able to get really good value for him because he can step in and play right away. Scouting profile on the stud from Northwestern, 6'4", 315 pounds. He's a technician. when it comes to playing offensive line. So that means that Jeff Stoutland, the best offensive line coach in football, would straight up love Peter Skoronski and working with him. Great feat for an offensive lineman, and that's why he flourished at tackle, but that's why he can also flourish at guard, especially on some of those pull blocks in open space like the Eagles like to deploy in their offense. Lots of experience, as we talked about. He stepped in for Rashawn Slater a couple of years ago as a true freshman and didn't miss a beat in the Big Ten going up against some premier edge rushers. His arms are a little bit short. That's why some teams across the NFL figure that he can maybe play better at guard than tackle. I think that he can certainly play both and play both at a very, very high level. Now to the Eagles' 30th overall pick. Calijah Kancey is an undersized defensive tackle from Pitt who has some quickness, and you could get some really good value at number 30 with him. His size concerns me a little bit, and Mel Kiper even said that. Kancey is an undersized 280-pound defensive tackle who could play the 3-technique spot next to 2022 first-rounder Jordan Davis, rushing the passer from the interior, and generally wreaking havoc on guards and centers. Kancey likely is a fit only for teams that play a 4-3, but he explodes into backfields at the snap. Undersized defensive tackles do scare me a little bit. Like 280 pounds at defensive tackle on the interior, that's a little bit light. Now, Aaron Donald, he's also considered and deemed an undersized defensive tackle, but he's a freak, and his technique is absolutely awesome. This is an interesting player, though, because if you want to move forward with two players on their rookie contracts who are very affordable, and you let an expensive Javon Hargrave go, and Fletcher Cox, if he's looking to cash in one more time, then Kancey could be in play at number 30 overall. He can, because he is a little bit faster, even though he is undersized, win some of those mismatches against slower plotting centers and guards. And for a lot of people who may be confused about what the Eagles are going to do defensively now with Sean Desai, because he's a Vic Fangio disciple, I don't think that you're going to see a bunch of 3-4. I think you're going to see what we saw last year. It's that hybrid 4-3 with some 3-4 look. Sometimes there would be 4 down defensive linemen with Tassan Reddick as the stand-up pass rusher. Sometimes there would be 3 down defensive linemen with Reddick as the stand-up pass rusher. And sometimes, not often and not much, because you want him getting after the quarterback, Reddick would then drop back in coverage for a different look against that offense. With that, let's round out this segment with this poll question. What's the biggest area of need in the draft for the Eagles? I'm going to go defensive line. That's why some of these prospects are very, very intriguing.